we'll have Mr. 𝗍𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗁 from founder and director of Boson Whitewater.
We have enough water. It's just that we don't look at wastewater as an important source. For example, in Bangalore, every day around 200 crore litre of treated wastewater is sent to the drain, which is equivalent to fill 13 lakes in a month. If cities of India start looking at wastewater as an important source of water, then cities can sustain. Our aim is to make cities of India from water scarcity mindset to water abundance mindset. This drove us to start Boson Whitewater, where this wastewater can be an important source for people to use. Hi, I am 𝗍𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗁. I started Boson Whitewater in 2008, and for the past 5 years we have been enabling circular wastewater economy in Bangalore. So if you take Bangalore, we get the water from the river 𝗬𝗏𝗏, we pump it almost 100 kilometers away, and then it comes to our city. This is one source of water. The other source of water is borewell, or we buy water in tankers, which is again either taken from borewell or any surface water, and then that water is supplied to us. So this is the incoming cycle to anyone taking water. On the outflow, what we do, say we live in an apartment complex, they say 300 units apartments. They will have something called sewage treatment plant, which is a plant designed to treat the water to make it usable for flushing and garden. So maximum they'll use around 20-25% of the treated wastewater. The remaining water, most of them send it to the drain. Apartments have a big problem of disposal of this excess water, right? And most of them don't want to be illegally disposing this water. So some of them, what they do, they spend money, pay money to the tankers to dispose this excess water to either government BDA park or some gardens. To the apartments who legally want to become compliant and don't want to waste this large volume of water going to the drain, right? We look forward for apartments who are 250 units plus. We send our team do a feasibility study. Their STP should be in a working condition, and the treated water they should be using for flushing and garden, and they should have the required excess water of say 70,000-80,000 liters excess, which needs to be measured, and then they should be able to give us space to keep our equipment around 2.5 car park area to keep our equipment. They should be able to give us the plumbing line input from their STP treated water to our system, and provisions for tankers to come and collect our treated water. All these are required at the apartment complex.
So our systems are designed based on the direct potable to use norms. Say for example, Singapore government has this new water, it's a utility board, which produces the potable water from the treated wastewater, and it is being supplied for the residents for the domestic use. Our water which we produce as so when it comes to a Boson Whitewater, I'm 𝗍𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗺. I'm with Boson since 2007.
Yeah, so this excess water in apartment complex is a problem. So all of you have sewage treatment plant, right? The excess water, what we do, we go into apartment complex, do our investment and set up a treatment plant, which is 11-stage treatment plant, convert the excess STP treated water to a high quality water inside your building. We store it. We get buyers from outside who can use this water so that this excess water can be actually reused for some purpose for their industrial application. This is what we do. We work with apartment complexes with 250 units and above. And then, so if an apartment has to become compliant, if you don't want to dispose any water outside, then this helps them become compliant first thing. For the space, it takes 20 feet by 16 feet space inside the apartment. For the space, we pay rent, and we manage your excess STP treated water. So as on today, we have 24 apartment large communities where we are taking water out, and every day we are selling around 14 lakh liters of water every day, which otherwise would have gone to the drain. So it would have gone to the drain, people would not have used it. This directly prevents borewell water extraction in those regions. And then for the apartment also, there are a few apartments who send their water via tankers outside where they pay money to dispose the excess treated water. So we add direct value to apartment complexes who have this excess water issue. Now, during scarcity, people wanted to buy our water, so people have a big perception issue. So whenever we say wastewater, right, people have, how do I take it for drinking, big perception issue. We are not selling it for drinking purpose. It's predominantly going for industrial application, but the water meets all the standards of IS 10500 standards. It is better than any other water available, municipal water, borewell water, any other water available. Now I would like to bring to the point, like, if you have an apartment, the first thing which you should look for water security is obviously rainwater harvesting. It is most simple. That is the first thing. Second thing which you look is what is going out of your apartment, right? So Bangalore has 3,500 apartment complexes. All of them have excess treated water, right? 200 crore liter of treated water goes to the drain on daily basis. We have to be wary of this large volume of water which we don't worry about. We have used it and we have sent it to the drain. Government says reuse. After 2015, whoever has signed RERA, since RERA came, people have declared that we are a zero liquid discharge apartment complex. But how can any apartment be zero liquid discharge, right? We use 45 liters per 40 liters per capita for flushing, and most of us have a very small garden area. We can't use all the water. 12 liters per capita goes for garden in most apartment complexes. So remaining 60-70 liters, people don't know what to do and they send it to the drain. Now, if this 60-70 liters can be repurposed for a building next to you, say you live in an electronic city, you have a large apartment, the next industry is using water from the same aquifer as yours. If that industry is able to use your wastewater efficiently, then that is a way forward for cities to sustain. And we have found a business model out of it where we raise the investment for the apartment, we find the tanker, we find the buyer, we give the rent for the space which we use for the apartment. And long term, that apartment becomes sustainable. Now, we are happy to say that all the existing apartments, 24 of them, during this scarcity, we have sold all the water. 14 lakh liters every day, excess from these apartments, is being used by industries in that region. So, we're looking to partner and invest in apartment complex who are looking to solve their excess STP treated water problem. And that is the reason we are here. Our water tanker which goes out goes with a slip. Each water tanker goes with a slip in terms of quality, quantity, all that, and we manage the tanker and entire infrastructure for that. Yeah, technically it is drinkable. You have visited our apartments. Technically it meets all the parameters of drinking. So it is drinkable. Psychologically it is up to the association to convince where they have to. I'll give an example. One apartment was very aggressive and the committee said, we will drink your water, you'll supply water in the tanker. And it was during last year's scarcity. We were supposed to supply water at 10 o'clock in the morning, but BWSSB asked all tankers to be stopped. There was a tanker strike. We could not supply at 10 o'clock in the morning. The apartment association group, the president started getting messages, my kids are coughing now, I have skin itching issue. All those messages started coming. And 3 o'clock, the association president replied that this is the same water, Kaveri water, which came yesterday. We didn't buy water from Boson Whitewater. So I say this perception plays a very big role in terms of convincing people on how to use it. I'll give an example of 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔. 2018 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔, it was declared drought. There was no water. Lot of trucks were going towards 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔. Now through BIOM, many other agencies involved and got the wastewater from Bangalore. From Bangalore, it gets pumped to 𝗕𝗏 𝗪𝗂𝗀𝗃. Tipu Sultan was born next to that fort 𝗕𝗏 𝗪𝗂𝗃. In that Kere, Bangalore's wastewater gets sent, and from there is open well, which has natural earth filtration. From there we do a treatment, and then we supply 10% of 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔's water supply is via our system in 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔. Now this is wastewater from the city, has gone through the natural filtration. For drinking, it is going for domestic supply. But people have this perception, as Sunil was saying, we have this perception of buying water bottles. So government has put water ATMs in that region. So all of them use this water for bathing. It meets all the IS 10500 standards. IISc is involved in terms of testing this water. But still, people go to the water ATMs for drinking water. But for all the bathing water requirement, people use 10% of 𝗍𝗏𝗵𝗔's population is using 1.2 MLD, million liters of water every day is being supplied via that system. So cities can sustain with cities' own wastewater, and if we are able to properly manage and deliver water across in the distribution cycle and make this viable for the cities, apartment can become sustainable, and cities as a whole can become sustainable. The only way to sustain is recovery of water.
I have 3 questions.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a terrace model? Second is, what would be the weight of your total equipment? Third one is the apartment benefited other than the rent? These 3 questions.
So if the apartment, I'll come to the last question. So this is not a commercial thing for the apartment. If the apartment is paying money to dispose their excess water, then it is commercially heavy saving, because they don't have to pay money to dispose. Once we find a buyer, we will take that money. So 1.5 lakhs each apartment, the ones which we are working, who are legal and pay money to dispose this water, then we become viable. For those apartments who are illegally sending it to the drain, then we don't become viable. It is just a rental model. Coming to the second, it occupies 20 feet by 16 feet area. The total weight is 4.5 tons, which is one car weight. So it is distributed across 20 feet by 16 feet area. The treated water tank, there is 5,000 liters, 3 numbers. That is a different weight. So 5,000 liters, almost 5 tons weight. 3 tanks will be there to store the treated water. That provision. So generally it doesn't work out in the terrace, because you can't put the treated water storage tank. It has to be somewhere near the STP where the tankers can come in and take the water.
And third question, whether Pollution Control Board or KSPCB will
Yeah.
enforce your project?
Yeah, KSPCB, and we have done work with BAF also. So BAF government 𝗏𝗏𝗵𝗺, their STP, we have set up a pilot treatment plant. The current policy ends at STP treated water. So the current policy says you have to reuse their STP treated water. How apartments reuse or how apartments send the water, it's up to the apartment. Last year, because of BAF, well labs, all of them, there is a policy which said that apartments can sell their excess treated water. If there is this policy, first time in Bangalore, because of all the efforts of BAF and well labs, first time in India, no other city has this norm that if you have excess water, government permits it to be sold outside.
Hello. Can I ask?
Yes, sir.
It's related to the selling aspect of it. The STP CFO certificate for operation stipulates that you cannot let out things anywhere. It would be ideal if yourself or somebody can approach BWSSB and very clearly state that such treated water can be sold outside, because this we had contemplated of using your services, but it ended up with this few people for and again saying that we don't have that permission.
Yeah. Sir, I'll tell you where it starts. The treated STP water, right, has to meet IS 456 standards for construction to use, right? All other industry, laundry, electroplating, all and then other industry who are using, they want IS 10500 standards. Now, you can't have an STP treated water which is IS 10500 standards until otherwise you treat it to a very high quality and then enable sale. Now, what BWSSB says is BWSSB and KSPCB says is, if you are able to find a buyer for your STP treated water directly, and if the buyer is willing to pay money and transport this water, you can do that. Now, if you don't have a buyer, then it is up to the association to decide what to do with their excess water. We come into picture as a private player, where we are able to raise external fund to convert the treated water and make it to a high quality. Now, when we invest 30 lakhs fund, we have to recover this investment and give it to an investor by selling water. So it takes 4.5, 5 years to recover the capital.
My question is not that.
I want to respond to your question.
See, the KSPCB conditions say that you shouldn't let it out in the drain. That's the condition. It doesn't say that you cannot sell it, sir. They are saying don't let it out in the drain. I think there is a slight confusion in the question.
That's a question. See, that's not very clearly stated anywhere.
Okay. So
when it comes to managing a society, there will be...
No, I'm answering the second part, sir. The second part is in April 2024, there is a clear policy which the government has put in place that you as an apartment complex can sell up to 50% of the treated use water anywhere.
All right, thank you so much.
That is a policy. And we have communicated. We are happy to communicate that once again.
I would love to have that,
Yeah,
please.
that he doesn't have. And
Now, one more question. I just, before he leaves off, see, when it is more of an RO technology that you use, right? So there will be approximately 25 to 30% that will be reject water, which will be of very high TDS. So where does that go? That goes again into our STP system, which will, put additional load on our STP system. How do we manage that?
Right. So, whenever we say RO, we have an assumption that the TDS is higher, reject is higher. RO recovery, if we take 75% recovery, then the reject becomes equally higher. So we'll have to maintain the TDS below 2100 ppm. So we'll have to do the entire water balance in the building on where to send the reject water back. Now if you send it to the collection tank again, then as you said, the load becomes higher for the STP to operate. If you take it to filter feed tank or the final tank and then take it back to our cycle, then the TDS doesn't become higher. So we run between 30 and 50% recovery in most cases. In some cases where the TDS is too low, so if they are getting municipal water, then we take it to 65% recovery. So it depends on the recovery which we take from the system. This is the first thing. Second, if we have an STP of 400 KL, now if it is 250 units apartment, say 120 KL. If we have 400 or 300 KL STP, we design a system for 50 KL recovery and water outside. So the idea of setting up this system is not to recover the entire water and sell. It is to recover a portion of water where your building's water balance is met with the reject water. The system doesn't add salt into the cycle. It is the same salt. If we are able to take it from the water cycle and take it to the soil cycle within the permissible limit, then we'll be able to manage. So if we design a system which is normal conventional RO and take the high salt back, then it will affect your cycle.
So what you're saying is that you can design your system to such a situation where it will not overload our existing system and push back the work onto us. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. So we'll have to design it specifically to the apartment, specifically to the volume. In some apartments, they want a reject water back for few garden application and for MLS's dilution in the STP. In some apartments, MLS goes to 800, 900. If they want to dilute the MLSs, they take a reject back to the clarification tank to dilute the MLSs, partially back to the collection tank. So it has to be specific for the apartment. Few apartments don't even have the collection tank which is large enough size where if we give our reject water back, then the collection tank overflows. So it has to be designed specifically for the apartment. For malls, IT parks, Orion Mall, it's 6-year water balance, not even once the TDS has shot up. So it depends on the design of the apartment.
All right, thank you. So we'll contact you on that.
Definitely.
Last question is, there will be a power requirement for your the system.
Yeah.
So do you get a connection on your own or?
No, so we generally the STP will have 30% buffer on the power. We pay for the power which we use at 8 rupees per unit. We take power from the apartment and pay for the power which we use.
Sure, great.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Thanks, Vikas. One last question would be like, apart from the perception perspective, is there a you would say common two problems that you're facing in apartments for implementing the system? If you want to define two big problems, why apartments, or what is that we need to change to involve, to implement such a system? Is there any examples or anything that you think apartments should prepare themselves for? Apart from perceptions.
So the predominant issue which we see is tankers access. Right, if the system is located inside the apartment near the STP, then our treated water tankers has to go inside the apartment, come out. So that provision of enabling tanker collection from outside is the first thing. Second thing, most cases which we see is STP operation. So when our system comes, we need a specific KSPCB standards of operating the STP. Now, if the STP is not operated so far, then it becomes like we keep saying the water quality, we got sludge, and so it becomes mandatory to run the STP properly and give the feedback. People benefit from it because they use the water for flushing, and after system has gone in, they've seen better water quality because we insist the STP operator to operate it well. These are the standard things which we see.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can take more questions for Vikas because Vikas will have to leave right now. But I think the rainwater harvesting questions can also come, but some of them are going to continue over lunch. So any questions for Vikas around the STP reuse thing, we can take them now. I know folks at the back haven't gotten a chance, but if you do have questions, please take the mic. Deepak's here, so.
Sir, you are strictly following the 250 flat apartment rule. Any particular reason?
Yes, so do you know how much the Kaveri water is sold for houses in this road? 7 rupees for 1,000 liters. So the water economics work in larger volume. So that is the reason. Otherwise, we would love to do small apartment, but the economic doesn't work out because the tankers want 75,000 liters excess to be taken from that apartment. So if we sign a lease with the tanker operator and solve all the traffic police issue on that road, it makes sense for commercial viability at 75,000 liters and above. Otherwise, the whole commercial doesn't work. So that is the reason. Per day.
So the water that you source after the process is done, you said you possibly have an agreement with certain industries. Is there an expectation that the apartment is having a certain industrial setup in a certain radius for it to be viable for you?
Yeah, so that once the apartment is known, we identify industries in 5 to 6 kilometer radius. Right? If it is viable for us in that region, then we raise investment and then set it up. So generally it needs to be viable. What we have noticed is initially when we start, we thought there won't be industries, people don't buy. Slowly now, because of data centers, cooling towers, even small malls are buying water from us. So even if there is an IT park or a mall nearby, we'll be able to supply it to that region.
So that's a viability check that you would do even before we get into the technicalities of the contract.
Yes. We have, so more than the buyer, the bigger challenge is the tanker network. That is a bigger challenge. So when we come for feasibility, we first understand how the local water supply happens in that region, what is the multiple WhatsApp groups for tankers available. Then we get to the buyer. Once we have both set up, then we get in. Even after setting up a system, we have had cases where 7 months we have not been able to send water because once the water goes on the road, there are other problems which come. So generally we say to the apartment, we install 6 months, 8 months, there might not be one tanker going, but after that there could be one tanker going, 2 tankers going. So first 1 year is written off and after that slowly it starts. So Pramukh apartments where we have done 1.5 years, we could not sell one load of water outside. Our tanker goes, it stops, someone stops it. So 1.5 years we couldn't sell. Now there are industries saying, I want water from Pramukh apartment only. So it is now fully stable and running and not even a single drop from that apartment is actually sent out to drain without reuse. So it becomes viable over time.
Fair. Thank you.
Latest question. Based on your experience with the established plants that you have you been able to pick up all on a daily basis or will there be ups and downs?
So it depends on load. So today there is rain, the buyer is not there, there will be up and down, but average, so once an apartment is on full load, if they are taking 4 tanker, it can vary between 3 and 4. And generally how it works out is today we have taken 3, Sunday there is only 3 loads gone, and Monday it will be 5 loads with the buyer. So it will eventually within 1 or 2 days it gets compensated. We have apartments where we have in the new area, Peenya is a new area where there is lot of tanker operators operating and very different costing. So there we have not been able to start the take off. But once it starts taking off, then it goes well.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So previous last year we had a similar concept. I think it's from your company only. So our association, when we had a GBM, so the people raised concern because of the tankers. They said that the security issues, and we don't want every day line up some 10 tankers. That was an issue. So the other thought what we had was if we set up maybe basically and use for our purpose. So how it will work and what will be the costing per liter it is going to, because ours is we are from Brigade Meadows. So almost 60 acres campus and 3 different associations. And if we make ourselves use the same water, because even we have hospital and even complex, they're also using tankers. So instead of getting out of the campus, so within the campus, if we could able to use it, how it will work and the viability.
Yes, sir. So from 2019 to 2022, we spent time in meeting 300 apartments. Me and Gautam, we kept a target to meet 300 apartments and convince people saying that we'll take it for drinking. What invariably happens is there are 10 people who are ready to push it, and then eventually in the GBM people will say get shot down. So if an apartment is ready to take it, then we'll be able to set up and sell the water between 8 and 10 paisa per liter. We'll be able to sell. So there is no challenge from our side. Generally it's the association challenge and continuity challenge. See, 1 month they'll take, again suddenly they might say, someone is saying they would have had pani puri outside and they have stomach pain. It'll all come to the water and it'll all come to the association running, and it is perpetually on and off issue. So that is the challenge. So we don't have any challenge. We can sell water. Second, coming to the tanker standing. So we had association where they didn't want the tankers to go in. They decided to pump the water near the gate where they gave the provision for our tankers to stand, and there is no tanker going in. So if that pumping to the gate is taken by the association, then that also we don't have challenge. Thank you.
My request is this afternoon, Brigade will be here. So please ask that question with the Brigade again. Same question.
Is that a technical issue or a tanker association issue?
So see, on the roads, generally, a tanker operator will buy a tanker. 25 lakhs he would have paid and bought tanker, right? The apartment association would have told during heavy summer, they would have signed an agreement saying that we will buy water from you for 5 years. So he would have done a 25 lakhs investment on the tanker for that apartment distribution of water. So now what happens when for this excess water also they would have signed a contract. Now what happens now? They don't have to rely on that tanker if they have our equipment inside. So what happens, our water going out will reduce his economics in terms of disposing the excess water. So they will say, we have invested on behalf of your apartment, suddenly you're terminating the contract, what will I do? So they create problems, they could create problems for tankers plying on that road. First thing. Second thing is, whoever is buyer, so say an industry, SKF industry is buying water from us. There is a freshwater guy who is supplying in that now. Instead of recovered water, there is a freshwater tanker who is supplying. Now his business is lost. He takes it from an exploited source and supplies it. His business is lost because of this water going. Now there is a rift. How do we handle? So that was the actual rift. Now what has happened is, we tried to initially put our tankers. We said we will put money, we will buy our tankers, but we can't manage the tankers on the ground. It's from our perspective, it is so complex, we won't understand that night 1 o'clock he'll stop in the traffic signal and you manage your tanker, driver will run away. We'll have to go to the... So it is so complex that we can't operate by... Private player cannot operate by investing. So now we take those tankers who are applying in that region as lease. We pay a monthly lease to them and we take them on lease, and we strictly say, you take it from our source, take it to our delivery, it is all time stamped, tracked, like Swiggy, we track that. So then it becomes easy for us to operate. So that is how we have solved. So it took some time. We had to involve private large, Kiran Madam, all the large guys in that region to call their existing tanker suppliers, speak to them. In each region we had to do that. So that is why it takes time. We have to use the existing network, BWSSB chairman, all of them getting involved. Outer Ring Road, we had to involve BWSSB chairman himself to get it solved, because until we had BWSSB water, treated water supplied on that road, we could not send any of our tanker. 1 year it took to get through that cycle in supplying in the Outer Ring Road. So yeah, it was local region.
Great effort. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, that CFO for STP, that is required before you can take it up?
Sir, ideally CFO is consent for operation. So as soon as the STP CFE is done, you have to operate your STP for your flushing. CFO is required, so that is mandatory. For us also, the assumption is if the STP is there, if it is used for flushing, the assumption is CFO is there. I understand few cases where people have applied for CFO, but government has not responded.
That's what
in such cases, if the apartment is already using it for flushes and they are confident that the STP is working, we can still come and invest.
Any more
Thank you all of
questions?
you. Thank you.